now that we're set up to begin using the SaaS financial model template, let's make a few adjustments to start. So first, we're going to change our name here. We can click in and we can add that this is the Acme SaaS model. And we're also going to adjust our dates. So the date range that we're going to put in, instead of August 2020 to August 2022, we're going to look at an 18-month stretch beginning in January 2022 to June 2023. 2022, and scroll down here. To June 2023. So we're going to save those changes, and it's going to ask us if we're sure. We are sure. We haven't really put in any data yet into our model, so that's totally fine. So now we have our proper dates, and we're going to hide the visuals for now, and we will switch to our card view. So just to note at the top here, we can also create scenarios. So for instance, a best case scenario where maybe we hire 10 people in this stretch over an 18-month period, or a worst case scenario. But for now, we'll just leave this as is with the default, but we could always add a new scenario, and then you're able to just toggle between the two without having to individually change those assumptions. Okay, so let's see what we have in our inputs currently. So our inputs here, we can expand that group or collapse that group. If we expand it, we can see that under our revenue and marketing assumptions, we have a few inputs, as well as under our growth and churn assumptions. So we have average revenue per subscriber, gross margin, CAC, which is customer acquisition costs. So in our example of the Acme SaaS company, let's go with the assumption that we sell some pretty awesome software, and we have a tiered pricing model with our basic plan at $70 per month. Our plus plan is $120 per month, and our pro plan is $200 per month. So the average across those three is about $130 a month per subscriber. So now we can type this in here. So if we click into average revenue per subscriber and we hop into our card here, we can see that it is being calculated on a monthly basis. And we can type in 130 if we'd like, knowing that that is the average across our plans. And just for the purposes, just want to make sure that this is set to currency. It already is, but it's always good to double check. So if we expand display, we can see that 130 is a currency value. And if we click enter, which we already have because we clicked out into display, we can see that that card is updated now to $130 as the average revenue per subscriber. We could also instead enter our range of pricing. So knowing that we have plans that range from $70 to $200, we could also enter in the range and go 70 to 200, click enter. And now we can see in the average revenue per subscriber that the range is there, and that creates an average revenue of $135 when we include those ranges. So we're going to keep our gross margin the same here at 85 to 90%, and our customer acquisition cost as well as between $10 to $50, which is an average of about $30 per customer to acquire them. And we'll keep that the same as what's already been provided in the template, but you could always adjust those, again, just in the cards here in the expression if you needed to. So let's say that we are pre-launch with the Acme SaaS company, but we have a list of maybe 20 or so potential users that have expressed interest or are beta users currently, and they're using the service for free, but they've agreed to start paying in January 2022. So we will adjust this here, our subscribers, the beginning of our first month, to 10 to 20 instead of 10 to 50. And I'll click enter. So now we can see our subscribers, beginning of our first month, we have about 15, 10 to 20, based on our pre-launch onboarding that we've been doing. And let's say we have maybe modest expectations of adding 5 to 10 new subscribers by the end of that very first month. So on top of those beta users or people that we have in waiting, we might add 5 to 10 here. So instead of 0 to 100, let's go with 5 to 10 new subscribers in that first month. And we'll click enter. And you can see when I do click enter, these calculations do adjust. We'll get to that in a later video, but they do adjust live here with each input being edited. We'll keep our growth rate at 15% because we have a pretty clear user acquisition process. And we'll keep our reactivation rate, which is the number of customers who reactivate after churning. And we have a pretty great customer service team. So we're going to bring this churn down to maybe 3 to 8%. So these are written as decimals, so we can add an extra 0. So 0.03 to 0.08. And that will give us our 3 to 8% or an average of 5.5%. Next, we're going to add an input for our expenses. So we'll click new variable and we'll call this transaction fees. So this variable is pretty well our transaction fees that are going to go to Stripe, which is the backend payment processor for our Acme SaaS business. And we'll put this in at 3.4 to 4%. And we can click display and percent there. Oh, of course, we have to list this as a decimal. There we go. So we have our 3.4 to 4% or 3.7% average with our transaction fees. And we'll add another variable, and we're going to call this hosting costs per subscriber, which is our infrastructure cost for bringing on a new customer. So this value we're going to set at $10 to $20. So we'll put in 10 to 20. And we will head back down to display here and make sure that that's a currency. So we have about $15 here. And in the next video, we're going to look at how to account for salaries in our expenses.